while the quadratic formula can be very helpful, and many times as we work through our math, we want to go right to that quadratic formula, factoring is much more effective when factoring is appropriate, when it works. So here we're going to factor some quadratic in nature to show you just how helpful that can be. So we've got x to the fourth minus 5x squared plus 6 equals 0. These are quadratic in nature. So these equations are quadratic in nature because the first exponent is twice the second. So quadratic in nature are fun problems. They really are. I think that's just because I really enjoy factoring. So when I see these problems, I think, wow, I think I might be able to factor that. So the part about factoring is, when you've got that trinomial, is to just figure out how do I get back to that first term. Well, it's going to be x squared and x squared. And not a coincidence that this x squared in the middle is your terms that are up front. So those are your first terms. Then we have to get back to positive 6, but we need to add to be negative 5. So that'll be negative 2 and negative 3. Now I'm going to take each variable factor. So I'll take x squared minus 2, set it equal to 0. And then I'll take x squared minus 3, set it equal to 0. And I'm going to solve each one. Add 2 to both sides, square root both sides, which gives us a plus or minus, and we get x equals plus or minus the square root of 2. The next one, we're going to add 3 to both sides, and then I'm going to square root both sides, and I get x equals plus or minus the square root of 3. So my 4 answers, not a coincidence, degree 4, my 4 answers are positive square root of 2, negative square root of 2, positive square root of 3, and negative square root of 3. So let's try another. X to the 1/2 plus 4x to the 1/4 minus 5 equals 0. This again is quadratic in nature. So we're going to try and factor. So what do I multiply to get back to x to the 1/2? Well, this middle term is an x to the 1/4. So x to the 1/4 times x to the 1/4 is going to equal x to the 1/2. Let me rewrite that. I don't like the way I wrote that. It wasn't very clear. X to the 1/4, x to the 1/4. Now I need to multiply to be negative 5, but add to be 4. So that would be a positive 5 and a negative 1. I'm going to set each variable factor equal to 0. So x to the 1/4 plus 5 equals 0. X to the 1/4 minus 1 equals 0. We'll work with the one on the left. X to the 1/4 equals negative 5. I'm going to raise both sides to the 4th power, and I get x equals 625. We'll do the same thing over here. X to the 1/4 equals 1. We'll raise both sides to the 4th power, and we get x equals 1. And those are our 2 answers to this equation.